Technology has rapidly advanced in the early 21st century, influencing many aspects of our lives, including the way we create art. The classic technological methods of oil, acrylic, and water expanded to include photography and the overarching digital art mediums like vector art, 3D sculpting, pixel art, film, and one of the newer mediums, video games. Video games have garnered a bad reputation as a trivial pastime early on in the genre's lifetime, and have often not been included in the definition of art. However, it has grown to encapsulate many of the core aspects of art, especially as it becomes increasingly sophisticated and immersive. Much like film, a similar medium, they tell a story and provide an experience, and the genre has become cemented in our culture. Through its adaptation of modern art styles like pop art, surrealism, and realism, it has evolved these art styles by merging them with video games' unique interactive elements, generating new ways to experience art. These evolutions justify video games to be labeled as their own distinct art form, with its own aesthetic principles and creative processes. The three games I show you here will each show the fusion that occurs when you mix these well-known and established art styles with the fresh takes game design offers to the medium. Pop art is an art movement that began in the 1950s and 1960s. The aesthetic it takes on is inspired by mass media, consumerism, and pop culture, specifically resembling comic books. Many noticeable parallels are the bright colors, bold outlines, and flat colors. The video game, Persona 5, is a turn-based role-playing game that delves into the metaphysical. The player is capable of entering people's minds, finding manifestations of people's psyches. Visually, the game behaves like a living comic book, allowing the player to experience the distinct, stylized, animated characters and environments built in 3D. The inspiration from pop art is noticeable very early. Viewing some of the user interface elements lets you see Band-Aid dots, several flat colors following the color scheme, thick outlines around the characters, and a striking, bold font that is similar to a ransom note. These elements are applied to the game's art theme of modern-day Japan, mixed with Victorian-era clothes and designs, creating a mysterious and sci-fi feeling to the world. Gameplay visuals are very dynamic and responsive, playing exaggerated animations with each action on the menu or during the player's turn in gameplay, giving them plenty of feedback to their actions. Regular gameplay incorporates the cel-shaded 3D characters and environments with the flat images seamlessly, succeeding in building its unique art style without sacrificing immersion and making everything feel alive. It feels like flipping quickly through a comic book while the player imagines himself as a protagonist, seeing and reading a battle, with the extra detailed full-page panels taking the frame as a reward for performing well during play. The goal of comic books is to create a sense of motion with these images, and this game creates that exact experience. Surrealism emerged in the 1920s and is inspired by the subconscious mind. Surrealism attempts to challenge regular ways of thinking to create art that is beyond rational explanation. Psychonauts and Psychonauts 2 are the physical embodiment of surreal, both narratively and artistically. The player is an esper that enters people's minds to explore and help them overcome their psychological problems. The characters' designs and the environment explored are exaggerated and cartoonish. Their limbs and heads are oversized or abnormally shaped, giving them very noticeable and strange looks that are very easily distinguishable. Some are tall and lanky, noodly arms with long heads, and some are short and stout with wide forearms. The characters are abstract, but still just human enough. The architecture and level design are bizarre and distorted, in attempts to match the impossible shifting perspective of dreams. The Milkman's level features a neighborhood that the Milkman would perform his route on, which exists in a void in the Milkman's mind. The road that is traveled splits apart, twists, and bends. In some areas, the players are walking up into the sky and leaping between chunks of roads. Hedge gardens become towering mazes, and houses shrink to a little more than half the character's size. Everything is familiar, yet changed enough to feel off. The camera angles used in some areas help push this effect by providing unordinary points of view. The level design succeeds in depicting the dreams of the targets and helps make the player believe they are entering and exploring people's minds. The art matches the narrative, which is the ultimate task required to immerse the player.
Why? Why would you destroy me? Me! The answer to all your problems! All your problems!
Photorealism is a smaller movement that appeared in the mid-1960s with the goal of recreating photographs as accurately and realistically as possible in other mediums. Many games made by mainstream, larger companies actually use this art style with the goal of showing how far technology has gone and the ability to replicate reality. Marvel's Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales are games where you take control of the superhero Spider-Man. After sending away the biggest crime boss in New York City, you must deal with the next villain attempting to fill the power vacuum. The animations of Spider-Man zipping through the air, the way he reacts to the wind rushing past him, the force of gravity flinging him through the skyline, all feel faithful and true to how he behave in life. The characters are also made with the same intention, being given realistic textures and intricate details, like the webbing on Spider-Man's suit and the hair on his arms. The city of New York that you travel through is created nearly one-to-one in incredible detail, paying high attention to the quality of the lighting and environment. Many landmarks of New York are present, like the Empire State Building and Central Park. The goal of using this art style is very simple. Make the player feel like they are genuinely in New York, and blur the lines between video game and reality. The gameplay of being a superhero isn't exactly realistic, but the developers try to make it believable in every other aspect. You can't really swing on webs and run up buildings, but if you could, this is how it would feel and look. The game makes you Spider-Man, then does their best to do the use of art to make that real.
Back the hell?
Video games have become a significant form of art that has evolved over the years. With the continued innovation of technology, video games have become increasingly sophisticated and immersive, delivering a unique experience to players that sets itself apart from the other forms of digital art. They have fused many styles of art with video games' interactive element to build dynamic environments and create new ways to experience art. These three games are not even a drop in the ocean of creativity and possibilities that have been done and that are yet to be created for the medium. Video games have succeeded in innovating on several artistic elements, each with their own unique spin on it. Its nature to build new experiences from the combination of other forms of art justifies video games to be labeled as its own art form, with its own aesthetic principles and creative processes. As video games continue to push the boundaries of technology and creativity, it is exciting to see what the future holds for this medium.